Hello, it's Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter here. Happy New Year to you. Now, you'll see that I've been missing in action. I haven't been inactive at all. I've been busy, but instead of sewing, I've been doing something different. I bought myself a painting by numbers canvas kit to do before Christmas, and I spent the 12 days of Christmas completing that. It's now completed and I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to give you some tips in case you're buying yourself one of these kits or you're buying one for somebody else. I'm going to give you some tips on it, and I tweaked it just a little bit, but let me show you the photograph which was taken on my holiday, and then I'll show you the canvas completed. I'm going to start painting over the Christmas holidays, and I'll show you my progress as I go. Just a word of note, the numbers are on. Make a note of those that are duplicated. So this is another number 26. Now when I've put the numbers on, please note that the numbers are on this way, but the hinge is by my thumb. When I open them, I'm going to need to open them from this side. So I've actually put the numbers on this way. And this is the second, number 26. Here's all my numbers ready, in order, just ready to go. It'll be an awful lot easier to find them if you put them in numerical order. Just make sure before you begin you've got all the numbers that you should have and you're not missing any. This is the time to go back to the manufacturer if it's wrong. Mine is correct. To begin, I've used a table. I've got a light overhead, and I've got an individual light from a torch, which really helps, a magnifying glass. I've used a silicone mat to hold my paints and water secure, and I've taped a waterproof bag onto my table in case of spills. These paints are water soluble, so if you get any spills you can wipe them off. And I've used tape to tape the edges of my canvas down. I'm going to start in one corner, and I've literally photographed a short piece and then magnified it 3 times. The last thing I've got on my lap is a piece of kitchen towel. I forgot to mention my brushes and some clean water. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to start with the top left-hand corner. This is quick drying paint, so I'm hoping it'll dry before I need to put my hand anywhere near it. They're actually quite difficult to open, but you will see why I've placed the number, because they open this way. Now as I open it, you'll see that there's a fair amount of paint in the lid. That's going to dry out first, so I'm going to use that paint first. Right, so far so good, but I am finding it quite painful with my hands using this tiny paintbrush. So I brought out my more ergonomically comfortable brushes. I use these for acrylics. These are Golden Taklon from Royal Langnickel. And I'm going to complete this with these brushes now. I'm using a Pyrex plate to mix my palette. Use something like a plate, a porcelain piece, and I'm mixing it with a small amount of cold water. Now you can clean this plate with cold water. Don't use hot water because hot water will actually set the paint. Likewise, if you get any on your hands or your clothes, wash it with cold water. Now you need to mix your paint up so it's liquid enough to paint with, but thick enough to cover the numbers and the lines. Sometimes you need to go over time and time again, particularly with these paler colours. The numbers and the lines show through. Try to paint in the direction of flow. So the river, for example, is horizontal. The grain on the table is at about a 30-degree angle, and then the decking at the bottom goes at a different angle this way down. Now this will show and make a difference when you come to the large areas that you need to fill in. This is all rock. I don't want it to appear flat, so I'm going to use small movements here. But where I've come down to here and I've got areas of fabric, I've painted it so that it looks like folds of fabric. That's a cushion, and it now looks like, from a distance, a velvet cushion. Don't paint it all flat. Right, so here's my finished canvas. It measures 20 inches across and 15.5 inches down. I'm going to try and get a canvas to frame this so I can get it put up on my wall. But if we go in more closely, you can see a lot of detail on this. You get the overall impression with what's going on, in particular the book that I'm reading. I think my legs look brilliant on this. I look like I've got a great set of legs. That is apple juice that I was drinking. This is taken on holiday last year when I was in Turkey alongside the River Dalyan. The hotel is called the Riverside Hotel, and this is just comfortably sitting on their deck watching the boats go upstream and the rocks behind them. So if we go in detail then you will see the detail that we've got. Should we look at the rocks and the overhanging trees and the two boats? Now, when I said I used poetic license, it's artistic license, isn't it? I actually drew in the frames of the windows because it wasn't very evident that that was a boat. So I took that move and I just highlighted the shape of the boat to make it a little bit more obvious on the second boat. And I put a little bit of the wash in coming from that. On the cushions, I made sure that they just didn't look flat, that there was some shaping. Cushions sag, don't they? So it looks a little bit more like a realistic cushion. And I also filled in one of the spaces here to make it look more like separated toes. But all in all, considering you know that book, you can also see what, actually from a distance now, you can see what the title is. The book was called Seven Sisters. The juice was apple juice, and it was around about 32 degrees when that photograph was taken. I'm going to put this on my wall once I've framed it. I'm going to put it on my wall near my books. And that Seven Sisters book is part of a 7-part anthology by Lucinda Riley. I highly recommend them as books. Now, the interesting thing is I really enjoyed this. It took me 12 days to complete. It cost me £48 for all of that and the paints. I have told you that I used some of my own paintbrushes because I found it more comfortable to hold them. They were ergonomic. What's interesting is from the paints pots that I've had, I've used less than half the amount of paints that I was given. So I've now got 47 colours of acrylic paints, which I'll use in my art class. So this then was from a kit by Paint by Canvas. They advertise as paintbycanvas.com or on Facebook. So if you're going to buy yourself a treat, or if you're going to look for something to buy for somebody special or to commemorate a special occasion, I highly recommend these. You don't need to be a professional artist to get really good results. Well, I hope that was informative, and I hope you're as pleased with the outcome as I was. Now, I didn't read a book, and I didn't do a jigsaw over Christmas, and I didn't do any sewing, so I've got to get back to some of that. Yeah, this is Maggie, the Cheshire Crafter. We're going into mid-January, so come back and see me soon, won't you? Bye.